Hello. Welcome to Bad at Board Games.
Well, yes. We're bad at board games.
My name's Brad Blake.
I'm Toph Ferguson.
And we're bad at board games, so you don't have to be.
Like Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Or me. Let's be honest. You don't want to be like either of us.
Exactly. So for the 5 people who are going to watch this old game review, what are we talking about today?
The Settlers of Catan. Oh, no. Today we're talking about On the Underground.
Which is a strange name, really.
Well, I mean, you're on the underground.
Probably too many things about underground and copyrights and stuff. So they nobody has copyrighted on the underground.
But you're actually on the underground. I don't think he understands the purpose of this game.
I get it. It's still a strange name.
Words are hard for Brad.
Understanding and thinking it's a good name are two different things.
Words are so hard for Brad. So,
all right.
Anyway, so On the Underground is a 2019 game. So Brad did call it old. That's only, that's 5 years.
Yeah.
We're getting old too. So 2019 game. It is published by LudiCreations and it is designed by Sebastian Bleasdale.
Yes.
Which I probably, butchered your name. I apologize. But anyways, fun little game. Brad, what's it about?
It is about building routes either in London or Germany. Dun-dun, in the subway. Hence the underground.
Okay. There we go. So that's the theme. It's just building routes in the underground.
Pretty much.
So, okay. Has nothing else to it, apparently.
As far as the theme goes, it's really just about subways. Or
really
underground
is,
or the tube or whichever. Tell me what you guys call it in your country.
Yeah, we don't really have good public transportation here, generally in the U.S., so I don't know what we call it in the U.S. Mechanics. So the game itself actually is mechanically simple. At least that's how I would define it. There's only a few things that really come into play when it comes to the mechanics, and by and large, this is going to be a route building game. So you are building out different lines on the underground by placing your route pieces. So think Settlers of Catan roads and putting it out from one location to the next. But to be able to do that, you do have action points that you're going to have to spend on your turn. And then you're also going to have a bit of set collection or point collection as you go throughout the game. There's various little ways to get small points here or there. So for the most part, it's going to be just route building. You're going to be using point-to-point movement because you are going from one location to the next. You're continuing to build out your trains as you go longer and longer and longer throughout the game. And depending on player count, you might have lots of different tracks to be able to keep up with in your mind.
That goes into player count. So it's 2 to 5. We've played it at 2. Toph wasn't there when we played it at 4. I think it was just 4. I think the best player count's really at 3 to 4. I enjoyed the game with me and Toph, but I like having fewer. At 2 players, you get 4 different colors that you're keeping track of, and where I thought that was fine, it's almost nicer just having fewer colors to keep track of. So I'd say 3 to 5 is going to be probably 3 to 4 players of this game is probably going to be your sweet spot. And it doesn't have a solo. There are expansions. David Turchi's, done one of them, but it's not in this base game.
Yeah, and we're doing the London or the
London Berlin.
Yes.
Yeah.
London.
So there's other on the underground games.
Yeah. So 3 to 4, kind of probably where you want to stick with that one. The time
was a lot faster without Toph.
I really don't like Brad. We'll get to that.
Saying.
We'll get to pros and cons in a little bit. My con is Brad. But the time itself, if you look on BGG, you're going to see 45 to 60 minutes. If you look on the box, it's going to say 60 minutes. I think they're wrong.
Yeah, it plays longer than that, but it doesn't play very long.
No, it's not a very long game. It's not.
Unless you're playing with him.
Again, we'll get to the pros and cons in a little bit. But yeah, no, it really is not bad, and it does not feel like it's taking too long to play. You're not sitting for very long times in between turns, but it is turn-based as you go. So you do play once and then comes all the way back to you again. So I think it's probably double that, if I had to guess, somewhere probably around 1.5 to 2 hours.
Yeah, I would say that would be normal. I think 4 of us took a couple hours to play. after the teach, but the teach isn't very, very hard. So, turn. So there is not. I'm not even going to put up a whole sheet of things. You get. They call it 4 actions. So 4 actions entails putting 4 rails down of the colors that you have. You're at 2 players, you're going to have 4 colors. 3 players, you're going to have 3 colors, and 4 players, you're going to have 2. So, you're just taking these out and putting them out on the board. You have to keep them lined up, either the beginning or the end. Kind of like Terminus, if you watch that. So this is route building month here at Battle Board Games, but this game actually allows you to break into your route and have another kind of offshoot, but you have to pay an action to get these tokens. There's a few things on the board that actually allow you to get those tokens as well, but it does allow you to branch off, but you're sacrificing 2 of your 4 actions to get 2 tokens that let you do that. So that's it. I mean, and then after that, there's a guy and he's lazy, and you have cards, and you're going to look up which one's closest, and he's going to go to that one, the one that he doesn't have to transfer trains as much, and then walk the least. So as the guy moves every turn, I go, he moves, Toph's going to go, he moves. Every route that he gets on, or every train that he gets on, you score a point. So you're really just trying to put things in certain places that he's going to go on your train twice, depending on if it's a gray station or a yellow station, and whichever one makes him walk the least, that's where he's going to go. Doesn't matter if it's clear across the board on 2 trains. If he never has to walk, that's where he's going. So kind of cool. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's an interesting mechanic because those cities are always constantly changing. At the end of your turn, you're flipping over cards to replace the cities that he went to, and it could change it up greatly because it could be multiple yellows or multiple grays, or
and it's not cities; it's locations within Berlin or London. But some people are slow.
That's me. I have not been to Berlin yet, but I have taken the London Underground when I was there. So
cool.
Yeah,
very cool. But that's 4 things. Place 4 things down on the board, and then the guy moves depending on what's closest. So pretty simple in that aspect.
Very much, yes, very much so. Probably one of the easiest mechanically built games that we've played.
Yep, it's nice.
Yeah. So you want to talk about pros and cons?
Pros and cons.
Yes. Do you want to begin? You want me to?
I just got done talking. You can.
Okay. So starting with pros, I think one of my big pros with this is it is a mechanically simple game. And so what you're doing is pretty much just route building. So if you watched our video of Terminus, for example, we kind of called that one a route building game, and there was very little route building actually in it compared to this game where it was a lot of route building. And it was continually changing where you're going to build your routes. And that itself, I thought, was extremely fun. Like you feel like you're building routes for a purpose, even though you're building here and here and here, maybe all in the same turn. You don't feel like they're very long, but you feel like you're doing purpose when you build. So that's one of my biggest pros with this game is route building done well.
Yeah, and I would say the thing I liked about it, even though it's a lighter weight game, it's thinky. So the fact that you actually are trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to maximize my points? How am I going to pick up tokens? So on the Berlin side, there's tokens that you pick up that give you set collection and give you 10 points, or if you have majority at the end of the game, they give you 3 points each. On the London side, it's if you can enclose, have a loop. So you get points depending on how many stops are inside the loop. So there's, I like the thinkiness of it because you go into it thinking oh, it's fun. You're putting this stuff out, but then you're like, wait a minute, I really have to start thinking about how I'm going to do my turn. Where is this guy going to go? I want him to use my trains, not somebody else's, things like that. So I enjoyed that. Simple but thinky.
Yeah. In fact, that's another one of my pros as well, was how thinky the game can be. It's kind of a fun, not that I don't play in the way to mess up the other people on the table too much. I'm more so the Eurogamer, play for myself type thing, but trying to maximize those routes,
Mhm.
you really get thinking with it. So that's a good one. I think this also, the other side of that is it could be less competitive, more of a family style game. If everybody's going into it to just kind of build out their routes and kind of lean into that side as opposed to lean into the, really strategically trying to get the points in the perfect manner, then this could easily be a game that you could bring up with family, that maybe you play Ticket to Ride. Maybe this is kind of the next stepping stone into a different type of route building game that you may like. And then, of course, it could get quite thinky and strategic, but you don't necessarily, I don't think, have to play that strategically if everybody at the table is playing kind of family-wise.
Honestly, this might be easier than Ticket to Ride.
Actually,
Because you don't have this, you're not randomly getting cards and trying to figure out where you're going to place everything. You could just get to pick where you put the route, and then see where the guy goes.
that is true. Yeah, you can.
So there's some trade-offs, but
Yeah, that is very true. Yeah, the locations that you're playing for, you don't have the long end game tickets to think about, but the cities are changing. But you can play anywhere you want without cards. Yeah.
Toph already talked about it. Fun. I enjoyed laying the tracks out, and I guess that's, I am biased towards route builders. I find it's just something I enjoy. So, in Terminus, it was less about route building and more about city planning. And this one, it's just laying tracks out and, seeing where you can get the guy to go, moving around the city. I just enjoyed it. So,
Which is always a good thing with board games.
Yep.
And sometimes you just want to sit down and enjoy something. What other pros? I mean, there's quite a handful of them. I think the board is beautiful. I like the wooden pieces. I like the components. I think those can be a really good pro with it, because it does look nice. It kind of looks modern, whereas some of the other games, like Ticket to Ride, for example, you can tell is dated. So the kind of very artistic work the game has done kind of lends it to feeling simplified.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I like that it was easy to learn, be taught, and I would like that it was easy for me to teach.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's a pro.
Yeah, I think this is one of the quickest games that you've taught to me, almost maybe ever. It was just okay, here's your actions, here's what we're trying to do, and then we started playing, and so that was very nice.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, kind of refreshing.
You got any other pros?
I think. Well, we'll wait. We'll go into cons.
Okay.
Because there's kind of a flip side of it.
All right. So we're gonna go to cons. What's your con?
So, I should go with that one first. So, I think at the lower player counts, when you have a lot of tracks or a lot of colors that you can put out to build your tracks, it gets confusing. That, I think, is one of the big things that caught me up with the game, is always getting confused because there's so many pieces out there. And alongside of that is the colors that they chose as more pastel-y colors. And so they kind of blend together a little bit. Like purple and pink, thankfully you played both of them together. They were very close in color. And so little things like that, I think, made it harder for me to see and understand kind of what was going on. I got caught up so many times on some of the colors and how they were put out. So, but I was also controlling 4 trains, whereas if I was in that 4-player game that you were in, it would only be 2. So now you're keeping track of just 2 colors, which is a little bit easier.
Yeah, and that's something a con for him. It wasn't necessarily a con for me, but I can see where he's talking about. That's why I also think 3 to 4 players is going to be more of a sweet spot than a 2-player game. But I enjoyed our 2-player game.
Yes.
So
I think much more thinky at the 2-player.
Con is if you have someone that's analysis paralysis prone, it's going to take longer. This is not a game that should take very long to play.
I feel called out. I'm going to go with another con real quick.
Yeah.
Pause into this. You can complete that thought and make fun of me all you want, because I know you will. But okay, I do have analysis paralysis. That's something that I have, and I'm starting to learn what that means. Medication's helping. So expanding further into the last con that I had, the accessibility factor of the game, I think I struggle with. And if you do have ADHD, if you do have difficulty seeing some things. The colors are going to blend together a lot. And I had a hard time seeing the difference. So the board is beautiful. Like, I really love it. It's like Ian O'Toole style artwork where it's beautiful colors. It's simplified. It's not overly busy. Beautiful. However, I kept not being able to see the gray routes where you can place your pieces on top of the lightly colored backdrop. So from a distance, it all looks beautiful. It's great. But as soon as you start looking in and you're focusing on it, like, my brain just went into overload, and there were times that I was just sitting there like, I don't see anything, because it was just too hard to see almost anything. And that fueled the AP more than I'm thinking. There were several moments, especially as we got later in the game, when it was like, oh my goodness, game's getting close to ending and I need points or something like that. Yes, that's a lot more thinky. But from an accessibility disability standpoint, I think the artwork, and the fact that it was controlling 4 trains too, but the artwork and colors caused it to be very difficult for me in that regard. So not the game's difficult, and the game is very accessible to teach and to get people to play it, but that part of my brain struggled a lot. So yes, I have AP. I will admit it. Hi, I'm Toph. I have analysis paralysis. Brad's going to make fun of me more for it in just a minute. But that did feel it. That made it difficult. So for me, that's a con, because that could mean somebody who has color blindness likely is going to very much struggle with this game, because there's not much to differentiate things and even to see the board at times. So.
Yeah. Do you have any other cons? I don't have any other cons. No. I enjoy the game.
I thought you were going to make fun of me more.
Yeah. You do that enough.
True.
But I like the game, so I really don't have a lot of cons about it. Things I would normally dig at it. I don't even have like nitpicks, honestly. The hardest thing to get everybody to understand is that the guy's lazy. He is going to take he's not going to walk. If he doesn't have to walk, he's not going to. So no matter how many trains he has to go on to not walk, that's number one. The tiebreaker then is if he doesn't have to walk, he takes the least number of trains to get where he wants to. Or if it's, tied, like he has to walk one step, he's going to take the least number of trains. So like watching some of that kind of stuff, that's the hardest thing. And you kind of have to look at it as you're going through the board. But every turn you'd say like, okay, well, right now, if nothing changes with the board state, he's going to go here and he's going to go here, and then that can help everybody understand really what's happening on their turn. So it's not difficult.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't have actual cons with the game. My cons just mainly the artwork. And then the idea of when you play 2. I think if we played 2 and we only had 2 routes each, it would be a vastly different game. Now, it would be probably not easy to play because we wouldn't get everywhere with only 2 trains.
Oh yeah, you want more in this, but I could see playing 3 trains instead of 4 with 2 players.
Yeah, that probably would work out fine. Yeah,
we didn't seem to. We had a lot left over at the end. So,
yeah.
Any other cons though?
No, really. Honestly, I don't have cons with the game. It's just the accessibility and the artwork. Like, that's the only thing.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Other than that, I think
pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So setup. This was easy to set up. It really didn't take me much time. I had this set up probably in 10, 15 minutes. I think. Yeah. So it really wasn't difficult at all. Weight rating?
Yeah, so BGG is saying that it's a 2.27, and mechanically I think that's probably accurate, but it's thinky. I don't know if I agree with 2.27 with how strategic you can be in it. But going back to my comment with one of the pros being it could be a family game where you sit down and you're not playing overly competitive and overly strategic, I can see 100% why they're saying it's 2.25.
But you can make it think of checkers, right? Checkers is easy to teach somebody, but like you sit down with your grandfather or somebody and he just like smokes you.
Yeah.
It's harder than checkers. It's harder than but there's like you're looking at this and being like, how am I going to maximize my point on my turn? How might I maximize my point, or do I just not worry about it and go for the set collection things that are going to get me in game, or some kind of once I get a set of 5, I get 10 immediate points. There's things that, what are you choosing to do with the 4 rails that you get to lay out on your turn? So,
yeah. So I think it's kind of accurate, but I do think
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably a little bit more. It's not Castles of Burgundy
No.
or anything heavier, but I think it's maybe sitting a little bit over a 2.5 in terms of strategies.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. And then the teach, like, we kind of try to give these ratings. Like, a 1 is super easy to teach. Think war. Put a card down if you can beat that. A 5 is little assertas and things that just take you forever. And then 3 is kind of your normal board game-ish kind of thing. I think the teach on this, out of a 5, you're talking a 2. Like, this is, like you said, this is probably the fastest game I've been able to teach. And Derek taught it to me, so it wasn't. It was refreshing to not have a game I liked that didn't take forever or 40 minutes to teach.
Yeah, 100%. Or like what game we played a game Wednesday night, and was it Wednesday? Was it a couple weeks ago? I don't know. The teach was like an hour plus. That was a couple weeks ago. No, there was a couple weeks.
Terminus took a long time.
Terminus was it? Yeah. And that it's nothing like that.
Yeah,
it's nothing like that at all.
No. So,
what about value?
So you can actually get this fairly decent. I mean, it looks like standard. You're looking at about $43, $40 to $43. Looked on Miniature Market, they've got it for $29. If you look at Castles of Burgundy, the old edition now, $50. I usually look at that and it's like that's a 4 to a 5. I think it's a great game. It's a staple in our community, and for $50, I think it's a good price. Components are garbage, but for the game you're getting. So for the experience you're getting, I think if you're paying between $30 and $40 for this, I think it's a 4 out of 5. You're not paying $100. You got decent components. It's the little wooden sticks for your routes, and got some nice wooden pieces here. And this is the deluxe edition, I think. But from what I can tell, this is their standard edition, so to speak. So check out the components. But for the game you're getting in here, I think it's a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, components are actually pretty nice. Yeah, I mean, silk screened wooden pieces. And London has different pieces, so I mean, it's nice.
Yep. So BGG ranking, what is yours?
Yes. So I went back and forth with where I think this is. I want to play it more, and I think that factors into where I'm putting my final rating. Like I do, like when he put it up on Miniature Market and it was only $30 or sub 30, I was like, I almost want to buy it to put it in my collection just because it's a great price with a great game. So I actually feel this is an 8.
And he wasn't sure it was going to be.
I wasn't sure. Yeah, I thought about it. And I was like, man, I want to play it again. And I'm not going to put it in my collection since we have it in your collection or Derek's collection or somebody else's. But yeah, it's a good game. It's a good game. I want to play it, and I recommend it.
Yep. So on BGG, they are saying 7.2 out of 10, and they've got 1,300 people that have rated the game, so liked it enough or hated it enough to actually go in and rate it. I like it. I think it's an 8.
Oh wow.
Okay. I enjoy. It was refreshing, and it's been fun. We talked about Terminus or some others. Can't remember what Arcs. Everybody hated me for not finding, I gave it a 6 because I didn't find it fun. It's like, okay, here's a game, but in the end I didn't enjoy it. Versus Root, I enjoyed Root. I can't tell you why I do some things or the others, but I enjoyed playing this. I think I enjoyed, it's kind of like after you've had best way I can explain it. Think if you've been on a diet and you've had tons of salt and tons of fat and tons of things, and then you have something kind of refreshing. It's like it was just a refreshing feel of playing a game and enjoying it. This is gonna be too easy. I'm gonna be blah, and then being like, no, I am engaged. I'm wanting to maximize my points. I'm enjoying laying everything out there. So, yeah, I want to play it again.
Yeah,
and I would recommend it. So,
there we go. 2 8s. I didn't know you'd give it an 8.
Yep.
But that's awesome.
Yep. I like it.
So who is this for?
Who is this for and who's this not for? I think if you like route building, I think if you like Ticket to Ride, this could definitely be in your genre. I would say it's not for somebody who only wants to play Lacerdas or only wants, heavyweight games. If you're But if you're looking for something that like you might be able to get your spouse involved in, or some, like other people, or even you just want something that's kind of like lighter and you can knock something out in a couple hours with your game group, I think this is for you.
I think another thing might be if you're looking into heavier weight games, one thing that this does well is leaning towards like contracts. So this is not contracts, but the fact that the cards are coming out with the different station names on it, you don't know what they are, and then you're working towards them, gets you into maybe wanting to jump into a little bit heavier weight games where you do see things like contract fulfillment, and things like that in it. So it could, even though it's not a heavyweight game, kind of be that little gateway that's going to start to move you into some heavier or more strategic mechanics.
And this could just be a game that piques somebody's interest, like, oh, it's not Sorry, oh, it's not Monopoly, oh, it's it's like the hobby of board gaming without being like scary.
yeah it's an accessible game. Maybe not so accessible disability with certain things, but no, it is very much that. So I agree with your analysis.
So what do you think? Do you agree with us? Have you played it and you're like, yay, I'm all in, or nope, I think it's garbage, I played it, you guys are wrong, or somewhere in between? So for those that do watch this, because people, let's be honest, people don't click on old game reviews, but we liked it, we wanted to review it, so that's what you get.
That's it. Yep. So let us know. Chat down in the comments. Or just tell us we're wrong.
Or Toph is wrong.
Sometimes.
All the time.
Not all the time.
All the time. Anyway, just remember, no matter how you play, whether it's solo, with family, or friends,
enjoy whatever games you are bringing to the table.
Have a great night.